Imagine you enter a deep, dark cave. The darkness is absolute. No light, no sound except the dripping of water somewhere in the distance. Your eyes cannot see anything. Your orientation disappears. And then, in this moment of total disorientation, you see a hand on the wall. Not just any hand, but the hand of a human from prehistoric times, placed there 40,000 years ago. This hand could be the most terrifying form of communication humanity has ever invented. Cave paintings are not simply beautiful old artworks. They are messages from another world, a world that confuses us, spiritualizes us, and possibly makes us darker than we understand today. But before we can understand what the images mean, we need to know who made them. The oldest known artworks in the world are not the same age everywhere. Most European cave paintings date from between 40,000 and 14,000 years ago. But here comes the frightening part. It was not always modern humans like us who created these images. Scientists have discovered that Neanderthals, an extinct human species, were already painting in Spanish caves at least 64,000 years ago. They left hand stencils and abstract lines. These hand stencils are particularly disturbing. They were located in small, barely accessible rock crevices deep inside the caves. Someone had to venture into absolute darkness with pigment in hand, find a specific spot, and place his hand there. Why? The answer remains a mystery to this day. However, the most famous cave paintings are from modern humans like us. The Chauvet Cave in France shows 33,000-year-old images of animals. The Lascaux Cave shows images about 17,000 years old. And the Altamira Cave in Spain, with its beautiful bison depictions, was painted about 36,000 years ago. But there is something else, something even more disturbing, something that does not lie in Europe. In North America, specifically in the Utah region of the USA, there is a style group of rock images that archaeologists call Barrier Canyon style, abbreviated BCS. And these figures are not normal. The characteristics of these paintings are disturbing. They are large, often very slender-looking figures. Figures that could be human, or perhaps not. Sometimes they have few or no limbs at all. Sometimes they look as if their arms and legs have simply been removed. Sometimes they are just torso-like forms, pure trunk. But the most disturbing thing is the eyes. These figures have enormous eyes, eyes that are far too large for a human head, eyes that stare straight ahead. Some also have masks, geometric patterns across their faces that look as if someone is wearing a spiritual or demonic mask. These eyes seem not just to see, they seem to observe. They seem to look into your soul. If you drive to Barrier Canyon today and see these figures, you understand immediately. These are not humans. These are not normal beings. These are something else. This is something that lies beyond our normal experience. Scientists sometimes call these figures anthropomorphic, human-like. But honestly, they are not. They are superhuman, or subhuman, or not human at all. And the question is, what did these people back then see? What compelled them to draw these figures? Traditional science has long tried to explain cave paintings rationally. They were hunting images, it was said. They were totem animals. They were religious symbolism. They were a communication system. But when you look at the Barrier Canyon figures, all of that falls away. These are not hunting images. These are not totem animals. These are not practical symbols. This is something else. Something that could have had only one purpose. A statement about something that is not of this world. The old theory was, prehistoric people painted what they saw. They painted their hunters. They painted their animals. They painted their world. But what if that's not true? What if they painted something completely different? What if they did not paint what they saw, but what they feared, what they hallucinated, what appeared to them in the darkness? This question brings us to an uncomfortable truth. These people may not have been just artists. They may have been witnesses. And this is where things take a dark turn. Researcher David Lewis Williams and other archaeologists have developed a theory that most experts today share. These cave paintings are not rational. They are not made for this world. They are made for the other side. The theory is called shamanism. In many ancient cultures, from Australian Aboriginals to Siberian tribes to prehistoric cultures, shamans were intermediaries between two worlds. They were people who could be put into trance states and communicate with the spirit world. and archaeological evidence suggests that shamans also existed in the Stone Age. Imagine, a shaman enters a cave. It is completely dark, disorientation sets in, hallucinations begin, not because of drugs, but because of the extreme physical conditions. In this state, in this altered state of consciousness, the shaman saw images. Perhaps he saw the spirits of the animals, perhaps he saw the spirits of his ancestors, but perhaps he saw something else. Perhaps he saw these beings, these large, slender figures with the giant eyes, these figures that looked almost like shamans themselves, or like gods, or demons. In an altered state of consciousness, it is hard to distinguish, and to preserve this moment, to capture this spiritual experience, the shaman painted what he saw on the wall, not for living people, for the spirits, or to warn the spirits, or to channel them. The Barrier Canyon figures are particularly significant in this interpretation. These are not subtle, these are not ambiguous, these are clear. They say, there is something else. There are beings that are not human. They see you, they know that you are here. But there is something even more disturbing, something that shows these people may not have simply left spiritual messages. They wanted to leave something deeply personal, the hand stencils. In caves around the world, archaeologists find hand stencils. These were made by people placing their hand against the wall and then blowing pigment around it to leave an imprint. Some of these hand stencils are over 40,000 years old. They are the oldest we know of. And here is the disturbing part. These hands are not placed randomly. In many cases, they are located in the most difficult-to-reach spots. People had to crawl into tiny crevices with pigment and probably also with light, perhaps torches made from bone, to leave their hand there. What does this mean? Scientists have various theories. One theory says this is a kind of signature, a proof of the act. I was here. A person saying, my existence is important. I was real. But there is an even darker theory, one connected to the Barrier Canyon figures. What if these hand stencils were not proof of existence, but a sacrifice? What if people placed their hands there to make contact with the large eyeless figures, to signal their human presence to these beings? I am here. I am real. Acknowledge me. What is most disturbing is this. Some of these hands are from children. Tiny hands. Why would children be brought into these dark, dangerous caves? What was the ritual? What did it mean to bring a child's hand into the deepest darkness and leave it there, next to the eyes of these large figures that stared downward? But for now, let us take a little step back from the disturbing part and look at the animals, because they too tell a story of fear. The earliest cave paintings do not show random animals. They show the most dangerous animals that existed. Cave lions, mammoths, woolly rhinos, cave bears. In the Chauvet cave, you see images of these massive, terrifying creatures with humans painted close to them. The old theory was these were the animals that humans hunted. But that is not true. Cave lions were not regularly hunted. Mammoths were difficult to catch. These were not the main food sources. These were the animals that humans feared, the animals that hunted humans. So why paint the predators? One theory says this was sympathetic magic. The thought was, if I paint the animal, I gain power over the animal. If I paint the lion, I can control it. The image is a tool, a way to deal with a force that is stronger than yourself. But there is an even darker interpretation. Perhaps these paintings were prayers, pleading requests to the spirit world. Please do not let this lion eat my child. Please do not let this mammoth trample my people. The artworks were not triumph. They were desperation. They were the Stone Age version of a scream into the darkness. But then there are the Barrier Canyon figures. And that raises a completely new question. What if they feared not just animals? What if they feared something even greater? What if the large figures with the giant eyes were not gods or demons, but the predators themselves? What if prehistoric humans were trying to depict something larger, older, and more predatory than any physical animal? Now let us ask the darkest questions. What were these people really trying to communicate? Especially when looking at the Barrier Canyon figures. The scientific answer is, we do not know, but we can make informed guesses by all the information we collected. Very uncomfortable guesses, I might add. Thesis 1. They were not alone, and the visitor came from the sky. The most disturbing interpretation connects everything. These people were trying to show us that they were not alone. That there were beings, physical, concrete, real, that shared their world, not from this earth, from elsewhere. These large, slender figures with the giant eyes were not invented. They were not spiritual hallucinations. They were visitors, documentation of a contact that took place thousands of years ago. The Barrier Canyon figures are testimony. This exists. It is real. It came from above. Thesis 2. They tried to warn of a recurring threat. What if these people tried to warn their descendants, us, about something? What if they understood that these beings would return, that they were not gone, only departed? The paintings in the darkest caves, in the most difficult-to-reach places, could be messages. They come back. Be careful. They take people. Thesis 3. They documented a reality that is invisible to us. Perhaps the truth is more complicated. Perhaps these visitors did not leave all of humanity. Perhaps they are still here, but in a different dimension, a different frequency, a different level of reality. The shamans, in their altered states of consciousness, may have glimpsed this other level. They saw the beings. They drew them. They tried to say, there are more layers to reality. We are not alone. We were left here, or we were created by something else. Thesis 4. The barrier between interpretations blurs. And here is the most disturbing thing of all. What if all these theses are correct? What if there is no difference between a spiritual vision and a real alien encounter? What if these beings are not just physical, but also spiritual? What if they are the spirit world? What if the gods of ancient cultures were really visiting aliens? This would explain why these figures look the same everywhere, why the hand stencils are in the darkest caves, why children were taken, why the paintings are so hidden. They would not be artworks, they would be records of contact, evidence of an encounter, warnings to the future. Looking back at the Barrier Canyon figures, they are particularly disturbing because they are not abstract. They are not metaphorical. These large, stylized beings with their staring gazes and missing limbs are unmistakable, and that is why cave paintings should terrify us. Not just because they are old, not just because they are mysterious, but because they may be testimony, evidence of contact with something we still do not understand, something that may still exist in the darkness, just as it did 10,000 years ago. We simply do not know how to see it. Oh, by the way, if you want to be freaked out more by ancient cave paintings, check out my latest video right here, where we are analyzing one of the strangest cave paintings from 17,000 years ago. And believe me, this painting is something else.